Internet. Thank you once again for joining me to talk all things vertical drama. This is very lovely because I have the cast of one of the best Christmas verticals that came out recently. And we particularly need to thank Nick because he's making us feel Christmassy with that Christmas tree behind. And the vertical is It's a Wonderful Hire, which I watched on Stardust. I don't know if it's on other platforms, but that's where I found it. And these are the 3 stars who are all utterly wonderful. So I'm going to ask if each person can introduce themselves and the character they play in It's a Wonderful Hire. And we'll go ladies first.
Thanks so much for having us. I'm Maggie Hudson, and I played Quinn Hart.
Gorgeous. Hi, my name is Nick Olsen, and I played Wesley O'Hara.
Hi, I'm Elisha Davis, and I played George.
So, natural question to ask is, when did you all get attached to the project? And obviously being vertical land, how much prep time did you have? Because we all know that it can be very last minute.
I'll let the boys go first because I feel like I had a totally different experience. And I actually don't know how Elijah got attached or what his timeline was.
Yeah, no, Elijah, I'm so curious.
It was pretty fast, actually. They, because it came up and they reached out to me and we were able to work it out because we had originally had me trying to be on a project that they had just done before that. And that one didn't work out. And so they just turned around and it worked out and they got me on board. And I think they also had a hard time finding anyone being willing to play George. Just because of everything that he had to endure and go through. But I think that was also part of it. But I was available and they were willing to make it work. So it worked out. It got me on board. And the rest is history.
Gorgeous. I sort of similar experience. I had auditioned for a different vertical. So I was in callbacks for, and I don't even remember the name of it, to be honest. But it was a completely different project, completely different character. I booked It's a Wonderful Hire instead through the same company. And I think I got the script 2 days before we started filming. So there's been a lot of scenes. So it definitely was crunch time very, very quickly. But overall, great experience, very smooth. So thankful for that.
So I feel like I somehow got lucky with this one. I had a handful of auditions at the time, and I had a few chemistry reads and callbacks that I was working through. And so I ended up actually declining this audition because I just didn't have time or the capacity to follow through with it. And so I found out that the other jobs didn't go through, and I was like, dang, I should have auditioned for that one project. And literally as I'm having that thought, casting reached out and was like, hey, has your availability changed? And I was like, well, as of 5 minutes ago, I'm free. And she's like, okay, great, hold the dates. And I was like, okay, like, do you want me to send an audition for it? And she's like, no, just hold the dates. I was like, okay, great. Can I read the script in the meantime to kind of understand what I'm agreeing to? And I read the script and fell in love with it. So that was a week and a half before we started shooting. And then I was able to start prepping as soon as I got the script. So yeah, my timeline was a little bit different than the boys, but I'm so grateful. It was definitely a gift, Christmas gift, I think.
And obviously that's what really struck me. So I'm assuming it was the same for all of you. This script really stood out. Was that something? See, I'm imagining a bit more for Maggie and Elijah because you've done more verticals beforehand, but also for Nick. What were your thoughts just on the script and particularly the quality of the insults, shall we say, if nothing else?
Well, in regards to the insults, I was thankful that the director and I were able to allow me to do some clapbacks because in the script, I just sit there and take it the whole time. I was like, there's no way that this guy's just going to sit there and just take this the whole time. And so some of the quippy clapbacks we were able to put in the day of, and it was fun. I think the writing is generally better than a lot of the ones that I've done before, which is great. It's great for them. And I was even going to say, I didn't have that much time for the script either, but I think for a supporting antagonist, this is the least amount of lines a supporting antagonist I've ever done. So, and most of the time the supporting antagonists are like, I hate you because I hate you. And that's, They have a very one note type of line. So it's much more difficult when you're playing the lead protagonist and lead or a lead antagonist, if it's one of those stories, to be prepared in short amount of time. But I thought the script was great in terms of its writing, in terms of trying to make moments cute, trying to build chemistry. They had clear obstacles for the characters to work through and get over. So for a Christmas one, I thought it was right on point, for a vertical.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as an actor, something that I love is when there's, in the text I can dive in, do some fun, interesting things with it. I think a lot of times verticals, I've noticed in scripts, they like to explain to you for T what's going on. I like that this one had a little bit of room for like subtlety or kind of what's happening underneath what they're saying. So we could play with that a little bit, find the different looks and the different exchanges that tell something, even if we're saying something completely different. That was a lot of fun, and I don't think I've seen that in too many verticals, like as of late. So it was pretty exciting, I think.
Yeah, this was a total change of pace from the previous projects I'd done. A lot of times we see women in really passive, innocent, naive, submissive lights in verticals. And so reading through the script and seeing Quinn as this strong willed, quick-witted character, I was so excited to dive into that. And exactly what Nick said, there was room for subtlety. Not everything was spelled out for the audience, which I feel like draws us in all the more.
One of the things I loved as well was, as Quinn, there's often a stepsister. That's not new for verticals. Quinn has Regina, played by the amazing Victoria. But what I
She's the
love is
best.
you two
She's amazing.
like squabble properly, because often that relationship's portrayed as one's particularly mean and the other, often the female lead just takes it. That's what's great here, that there's a proper squabbling, and it felt more like siblings, because Quinn gives it back, doesn't she? She doesn't just stand there and go, oh, okay.
And that was so much fun. I have 2 younger brothers and we get along really well, but it was really fun to incorporate that sibling relationship, because you're right. A lot of times it's like the villain who's going after the protagonist and the protagonist just takes it. So yeah, it was really fun to play around with her, and she's wonderful. I wish she was here today, but yeah, she's the best. And she commits 110% every single time. It was really inspiring.
Can I ask a little bit about location as well? Because I think that was another thing that stood out, something a bit different in this. Because, okay, to my eyes, it looks like you filmed in a beautiful, like, alpine chalet. I'm presuming from the smiles that you didn't. Where was it filmed and how did it work? And obviously we will come on to the snow.
Well, so it's pretty interesting. I feel like we filmed in a couple different locations, all around the greater LA area. I'm from New York, so I don't know specifically exactly like in relation to where everything is. I kind of was along for the ride. However, there were so many beautiful places, this like really lovely, gorgeous mountain town that we went to. Now, I think in the story we're in Aspen. We were not actually in Aspen. It was fairly warm while we were filming, so a lot of the snow was not real snow, if you couldn't tell. It was pretty cool. They had like the snow machines and everything, and they were making us feel very Aspen-y for sure.
Can I say, I actually love that scene, because also obviously there's the amazing scene where Regina's thrown the ring and then you both end up tumbling over into the snow. Now, it's very clearly not snow. It's like you've got this blanket and you're kind of watching going, you what? And then I'm like, I really want one of those. I want a snow blanket. Why don't I have a snow blanket? It's like an amazing
add it to your Christmas list for next year. That was the funniest thing, because we had no idea how that was going to come to life, and the art team was great. But I think like that was a really hard scene for me to film, because I was laughing so much. And then on top of that, we had bubble snow coming down, which was like there was no mobility. It was just like a blanket with a hole for our face. So we have snow coming down, and then they were throwing like plastic snow, and the whole thing was just absurd, but ridiculous. And that was actually in Lake Arrowhead. So emphasis on greater LA. It was all over the place. We were in Santa Clarita for a little bit, Arrowhead. Where else were we? Do you guys remember? I don't remember
I
where the
think we
hotel
were up.
was.
Well, it was up past Topanga Canyon, I think, wasn't it, for that little diner up in the mountains there? But yeah,
Yeah,
Lake
yeah.
Arrowhead was my favorite location because I love the drive up into the mountains. It's like this windy road. It reminds me of like Cruising USA video arcade games, and it's so much fun to just drive up in that road with the windows down and stuff. So it's beautiful up there. I love the location up there. So the reason it looks so pretty is because Lake Arrowhead in that area up there is so pretty. It really is.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
and
a
it was
good
cute. We
use of-
had a little cast sleepover up there. It was fun.
And I have to say, my other favourite bit at the end of that snow scene is Regina screaming at George to come and rescue her. And then George going, I'm not athletic. I'm not jumping over that.
Yeah.
But it's just, you give this little look. That's what just adds to it. Of like, I'm not doing that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it was a scene.
Well,
George was it's the most interesting antagonist I've played in a while. I will say that. He just he was different.
it's so funny because with that scene in particular, the way that we had to go about filming it, because Maggie was in this contraption, it didn't make sense for me to carry her out and for us
That's
to
all.
reset. So the way we would do it is we'd finish the scene and I would go over to her and then I would crouch down as if I was putting my jacket around her. And then I would actually just take the snow and cover her face. So it looked like no one was there anymore. Even though, so I was saving her, but it kind of looked like I was like suffocating her. And
It did.
No,
It did.
vacated.
I think I have I think I recorded it from
I
like
think
up top with being like,
yeah.
did we change the story?
I'm just sitting there covering your
It's
face.
suddenly very short and it's taken a dark turn.
Yeah, right.
Nick, I forgot about that. Okay, Nick, I'm going to out you here too. He was an actual stunt legend hero on this set because he had to like run down a hill to come rescue me, and it was all practical. And this guy, like, I'll let you take it from here.
So we didn't even really end up using the shot for the movie, which is totally fine.
Which is such a shame.
But they had me sliding down this thing and there were some roots there. So I ended up cutting my leg. So we had like the first aid team run out. It was super dramatic. They were like bandaging me up, doing it for the love of the craft. It was a lot of fun.
What does it make it?
Blood, sweat, and tears.
I know. It didn't make it in.
Because I was thinking of your stunt of obviously you have an amazing moment where you dive into a laundry basket. I mean, that's quite exciting.
My favorite film to scene, actually. My favorite scene to film.
Did you do it in one take, first try?
We did a few in one take. I think that one I had a little bit of breathability, some room to play. There were some things to figure out timing-wise with the girls there as they were walking away. But it was definitely my favorite. I just got to chill in a laundry bed, I mean, who could ask for something better?
That's good. Nice and soft. So there's lots of amazing dialogue that everyone gets. So I just wondered if each of you could go through like some favourite lines or favourite moments that you got for your character that you particularly enjoyed.
I know Nick's.
Do it for the children, Quinn, is probably my favorite line.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It cracked me up every time. And that whole sequence of us in the like little Aspen sort of, it gives very Hallmark movie. And I just had such a blast filming that whole thing. Even though it was freezing outside, it really did feel like we were in Aspen then.
I feel I need to give context because there's mistletoe above you.
Oh, yes. There is a mistletoe above us.
There's mistletoe there, and it's raising money for some children's fund. And so that's obviously, but we must kiss because the money's going to the children.
Like, him being a billionaire giving just $1. The irony was good. It's too good.
What about you? What about favorite line for George? Your favorite moment?
The day that we filmed the diner scene where Maggie's character, she comes in and she sees Regina and the family's there. And because I had talked with the director about a clapback line and we agreed to it without telling Maggie because we wanted her to have more of a authentic reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was the moment where she's arguing with Regina and says, that my penis is like a micro dick or something like that.
Which time?
Yeah, I don't know which time, but it was the first time that you say it. And I think and she's like, it's not that, I said, smile for me, baby, I'll pick your teeth. Because you said it was, you seen more meat on the end of a toothpick. So I say, smile for me,
That
baby,
was
I'll
one of my
pick your
favorite
teeth.
lines.
Yeah, because like she didn't know it was coming. And so like we just threw it out there like everyone else did. She didn't know. So that was probably my favorite moment in the in the whole thing because it was just fun to do because she didn't know it was coming and it was authentic.
I
I
can't
have to say,
remember if
and I
they
have another
used.
favourite moment. Sorry, I'm just going to jump in, Maggie. So I have
No,
to
no,
tell,
please.
I love the moment where you're at like a family dinner. And I think
Yeah.
it basically comes out from Regina, the total bridezilla, about it's my wedding. And then she kind of vaguely, oh, well, maybe you'll be there as well, George. And George is like, right, so I'm just the afterthought. I'm whoever.
Yeah.
This is her wedding.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yes, your face, your reaction sold
Well,
that. So thank you for
I
that
wonder
moment.
if they used that because it was such a surprise, but that was actually one of my favorite lines. But also Sparkly Gremlin. Love that. I will be using that in my day-to-day life.
I think that was what was nice about it, because sometimes the insults when they fly are quite the same, or they're just sort of lazy, not particularly nice ones. I did a whole post ages ago about, I got like a Shakespeare insult generator. I was like, look, we could do better stuff.
I love that.
And I feel that this one was great because, yeah, Sparkly Gremlin kind of sums it up, but is also original. So, yeah, love that moment as well. I just want to talk about some of the other great members of the cast as well. I mean, you all got to work with John Henry Richardson, who's awesome and also very important in verticals because we do need grandparents forcing billionaires to marry. Otherwise, it never happens.
Naturally.
And then also nearly dying as well. I'm a bit worried about how many times he's nearly died now. It's like, it must get a bit tiresome. What was it like working with him, Nick, particularly for you as sort of someone on a first vertical?
He was such a comforting presence. Truly, I had a great conversation with him. The first scene, like when I got to meet him, was actually the first scene that you see us together in the movie itself. So it was the office scene where I like burst in and we have the whole moment with the ring and him giving me, my grandma's ring and everything like that. He just has such a exuberance to him. And when he comes into a space, like he just fills it with this beautiful, bright energy where he's excited to work. He's excited to get things right and truly an inspiration to see as an actor. And I felt very, very fortunate and grateful to be able to work with him. And especially as soon as I got to in the process too, I felt like he kind of anchored me down a little bit throughout the whole thing, which is gorgeous because that's what his character does for Wesley too. So felt very full circle.
And then I also wanted to ask about your amazing assistant.
Oh, yes, Leon. Oh, Leon.
How much was that improvised and how much were his lines? Because there's some brilliant stuff, I think, particularly in a scene that you're in, Maggie, about Regina kicking off at the hotel reception. And it's just got this brilliant lines about, we have exits. Look, you could try that one. It's quite joyous to see someone giving back to that kind of sport entitled character we see a lot in verticals.
Mike is a stand-up comedian and he stuck to the script at least once and then did a different take almost every time after that. So I honestly don't know what was originally part of the script and what was improvised, but he was awesome. So much fun to work with. Yeah, you never knew what was going to come out of his mouth.
That makes so much sense now you said that. Of course, he's a stand-up comedian. That makes a lot of sense. I also wanted to talk a little bit about, ask you about the styling as well, because everyone gets looks. Now, Maggie, I feel you came out best with the looks.
Thank you.
You got some really cute outfits and very cute hats. Kind of, was there a favorite one?
Ooh, it's interesting. Like reading through the script, I had a vision of the character, and then you meet with the other creatives and they have a different vision. And so it's nice to see things come together. I love trying on all the wedding dresses. Super fun. But I think the green fur coat, wrap, scarf was absolutely stunning. But the one that stood out to me the most was the winter market outfit. I loved it. I wish I could have taken it home with me. And Nick, yours was stellar too.
Yeah.
I feel like they complemented each other really nicely.
I was going to say, I think the winter market was probably one of my favorite outfits. I also really, really enjoyed they were a lot of fun. You know, they told the story well, but they were creative and I felt very not same old, like the same sort of suits you see every single time. Like we had like that fun blue plaid checkered one. I almost felt as though Leon helped dress Wesley, if that makes any sense.
Oh.
It does, actually, yeah, because there's some slightly loud suits in there, which I felt,
Yes.
I was like, well, bravo, because I think Nick's made that work, but
Thank
that's
you.
a choice. And Elijah, for you, I mean, is it in the contract if you sign on as an antagonist that you have to have your shirt half undone? You kind of, you get any say in that?
Should be.
To be fair, I was surprised they didn't have me take my shirt off in this vertical. It's one of the first verticals I didn't have my shirt off in a while, so I was surprised that didn't happen. I usually end up wearing a lot of my own suits too, because I in my previous life I wore a lot of suits. But I guess the thing for me with verticals when it comes to the wardrobe, I think that the two lead characters, I loved their wardrobes. I thought it felt more like a Lifetime movie in that way, like the way it just was the wardrobes, the look, the fits. It really felt appropriate for the theme and everything. They make the antagonist kind of peacock in a lot of verticals, and I wish we could move away from that. Like I think the outfit they had me wear for the wedding with all the stuff all over the tuxedo, I'm like, Jeff Bezos doesn't wear that. All these other guys who love money don't really do that here. It's very cartoonish, and I wish we could move away from that a little bit. The peacocking, like it's like almost guaranteed that they're going to make an antagonist peacock in some way. I wish we could get away from that. But other than that, I thought everybody else looked awesome in what they had to do, and then I wore a lot of my own clothes again, so it was good for me.
If you don't mind me asking, as you mentioned it, what was your previous life?
I was
What,
a
what,
pastor.
oh, wow. So,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you need a lot of very smart suits for that. So that
I
makes
did. I needed a lot of suits for it. So a lot of the local studios around here know me and for being able to bring like 6 suits if they need me to do it. So I have plenty of options. But yeah, being a pastor, that I've done a lot of that.
I love that. That's amazing. I just want to ask you just generally about when did you film this one? So do you remember when it was filmed?
Early December? Did we do this in early December,
Wow.
guys?
It was
Like
the first
I don't
week
even
of
know how
December.
the editor must have been just drinking straight Red Bulls, just straight Red Bulls to get this in.
So they got
We
that in
had
like 2-3 weeks. That's
I know.
crazy.
That's what, like, it's insane. I have no idea how they did it. They must have just chugging those Red Bulls.
Our last day filming was December 13th.
Was that the
Wow.
pickup
that.
day?
I
That
think
was
that
the
was the
pickup
pickup
day that
day.
we did.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that they were already editing in between,
Oh,
but
I'm
They
sure.
had
they
to
had
have
to have been.
been, right?
They had to have been.
Yeah.
That was the
think so.
fastest turnaround I've ever seen.
I've never seen it faster. I've never seen it faster.
And I
Wow.
was surprised. Like, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job,
Like,
especially given the turnaround.
Yeah.
I just did one right after that for Playlet. It still hasn't come out. It's still being edited. Like it's not even on the coming soon. Like it's not even on that yet. So that we did this like literally like we finished a few days before that, and it came out so fast. I was like, I honestly didn't think it was gonna make it. I swear to God, I was like, I'm glad we got it in, guys, but I have no idea how they're gonna get this in for the Christmas season.
Because I guess there's that
Seriously.
pressure, isn't it? Of like, if we don't hit that, we're kind of canning it till next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it didn't come out before Christmas, I was like, oh, it's toast. We're done. It's gone. And then it came out a couple days later. And honestly, I kind of enjoyed that because it extended the holidays for me. And I think it's done the same for other people as well. But yeah, it's so impressive. That editing team is insane.
And for me, it was kind of more wintry than Christmas. I know the setting was Christmas, but it felt more, I guess because of the whole Aspen thing and the snow, it felt more wintry. So it wasn't a real like, oh, right, we're really overdosing on, Santa Claus or Father Christmas, that vibe. It was a bit more general.
That's an interesting point because in verticals, we don't do that much in the snow because of the locations. But if teams and studios were aware of that, we could probably do more snow things. Like I'm kind of surprised we haven't done like a skiing one. We have ski
coming.
resorts in Lake Arrowhead and in Big Bear, and we haven't done many snow verticals, but I don't see why we don't because that's a whole season that we could take advantage of.
I will
there's,
say this. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say I've realised Winter Olympics are coming soon because there's suddenly been an uptake in like ice hockey and ice skating verticals. But yeah, why not skiing?
Yeah.
I will say the snow was a huge issue for us. A lot of times we'd have to do multiple takes of a scene, one with snow and no audio, and then one with audio and no snow, and then they'd combine the two just because the snow machines are ridiculously loud and distracting. So I think that could probably play into it. But I have seen a handful of auditions and breakdowns for skiing, ice skating, snowboarding verticals recently. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Snowboarding as well. This is good. Nick, I have to ask, we have a guest.
We do have a guest. This is my pup, Nala. She decided to come say hi.
It's
She's
very
the best.
beautiful. So what reaction then have you got? I mean, obviously I got excited and loved it, and I watched it because someone messaged me and said you need to watch this, it's really good. Do you all get that sense just from being on social media of when you are in a project that people are really enjoying, the people message you and go, we love this one?
Yeah, I think this has been cool for me being my first vertical. So I'm new to a lot of the fan base for that. I know it's got a really, really big following, and it's been really cool. I've gotten a lot of really encouraging messages from people, even people commenting, telling me like, "Oh, it's the best movie I've seen all season. Like, thank you so much." And like that just it keeps you going. It fills up your cup a little bit, and so I've been very, very appreciative of that for sure. And I think it's just so cool to see, the fruits of your labor in a way, and to know that people are actually enjoying it. And hopefully it's bringing them a little joy, especially in the cold season.
Yeah, this one was just special. And to know that it's being well received has brought me so much joy. The verticals I had done prior had heavy themes of violence, which we can get into another time. Just to know that this offered people, like Nick was saying, hope and joy and a little break from reality was really nice. And yeah, everyone's been so, so kind with it. And as have you. So thank you.
I'll kind of piggyback off a little bit what Maggie said. After I've done this, you do so many verticals. I think what I look for and what makes me happy is when a vertical is received well, people enjoy it, but I also feel like the vertical is trying to either push the medium forward or it's trying to create space for the verticals to not have all the tropes in every single one. This script was written a little better than most, and it didn't have all the crazy violence and all the heavy intimacy. And so I think that I'm just glad to see those type of verticals be received well, because I think the more that so many verticals get received really well, like there's a lot of fans, a lot of fan pages, but when it's those ones that are pushing the medium forward or trying to correct maybe something that we've leaned into too far in this medium, that gets me excited as an actor, because I want to see the medium grow. I want to see it do better. I want to see us put out better content, better quality, higher integrity. So like when stuff like this does well, I'm glad. I think it's a step in the right direction.
I hope it's right. I just want to talk to you briefly since you're here about it, Elijah. So, and also important because, as you said, your character, George, takes quite a lot of verbal abuse, shall we say, about certain things in this one. But
Yeah.
you were also in talking about that things that move the genre forward. I'm not going to get the title right. Is it like Good Girl, Biker? You remember?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Good Girl, Bad Biker. I'm not going to steal all this stuff we're talking about. But that was a very special project. It was written and directed by the director, so he was very, very specific about not having type of tropes in it, and very specific about trying to have a really high quality story inside the medium. And that was a privilege and an honor to be a part of that one.
Because that's just another one to recommend to people to go and watch because it's a mystery. We
Yeah.
don't know of the three gentlemen. Elijah was one. Who is the good person for the main character, who's played by Jess Jacoby? Also, Elijah basically, well, you do take your shirt off a lot, to be fair. I got a bit worried at one stage, but he also rides a motorbike and is very cool. And I feel it kind of corrects all the stuff you had to take for poor George. It's like, go watch that. He's got a very cool character.
Yeah, yeah. And the Playlet guy did. He was a supporting protagonist. I got to be a good big brother. That was a story where there was a lead antagonist and whatnot. And then I got to be a good big brother, so that was fun. And I'm doing a lead for Drama Box at the end of this month, so I'm excited for that one too.
Okay, so watch this space for you. Maggie and Nick, are there other projects? Doesn't have to be vertical that you'd like to direct people watching this to?
Yeah, so pretty exciting. I have my first TV show that I'm in. It's called The Beauty. It comes out later this month. I did an episode, I think episode 9 of that. And it's got a pretty stacked cast and everything, so I'm pretty excited.
Yes, it does.
Definitely thoughtful.
It's going to be a great show. Like, I'm
Scandal.
excited to watch it.
It looks absolutely incredible.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see, obviously, while filming, with something that big and secretive, there were NDAs and things like that. And honestly, I only knew as much as my character knew. Everything else I'm completely in the dark about. So I'm really interested to see certain things. Like my character had questions. I'm excited to finally get the answer to that.
That's very clever. That increases their viewing numbers of like even the actors have to watch because they want to know what's going on.
Exactly.
What about you, Maggie?
So I'm going to be fully transparent here. I've done a handful of verticals, like I was saying earlier, that involve themes of violence. And so I want to be sensitive to that. So I will keep you posted. I have things coming up in the next couple weeks, but more to come on that.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye out. I just want to say thank you to all of you, one, for taking the time to talk to me. And also, I think what's interesting about the seasonal verticals is I think this will get rewatched next year. Because people
I agree.
hope so.
I think people will go back and there'll be a little bit of a, well, I need to, well, I mean, I know I will. I want to watch this. I've got 2 or 3 now that I'm like, I'm going to want to watch next Christmas.
I don't know what app that is where you can bet on anything now. You see that app? You can bet on anything. We should make a bet if this vertical comes out as new next year on another platform. I bet you money it does.
Oh, you might be on
That's a good
something there.
thought.
Because
There
it
we go.
usually does. I've seen, I don't know if you've seen other verticals you've done that were out for like 8 months, and then another platform will pick it up and put it out as new. So being this is a great Christmas story that did well, like don't be surprised if it's going to be new on another platform next year.
It's really interesting because some of the platforms, they're all sort of selling off their older content and passing it around.
Yeah.
And some of it is the same, but some of them, they do change the poster and they change the title.
Yes.
So you think it's new and you're like, hang on. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen that.
Maybe that will happen. But yeah, you are all absolute superstars. So I can't thank you enough. And thank you for bringing everyone a lot of joy. And I wish you all the very, very best for career, life, everything going forward in 2026.
Thank you so
Thank
much. I
you.
appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. And good to see you both again.
Yeah.
Yes,
Good to
thank
see
you.
you
And
as
thank you
well.
everyone watching too. Appreciate
Yeah.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.